I'm going to call the Haverford Township Zoning Hearing Board meeting of Thursday, July 20, 2023 to order. My name is Bill Rhodes. I'm the vice chair. Bob Kane, our chairman, is connected by speakerphone, and he'll be able to hear. And when he speaks, that we have the microphone next to him so the audience can hear him. Bob is, I believe, going to participate for first item or two, and then has to drop off. So on the dais with me, on my far left is Jessica Vitale, a voting member. To her right is Ed McGargy, a voting member. To my right is Jesse Poynton, a voting member. Also, we have Ernie Angelos, our solicitor. Margie Buchanan, our deputy codes officer, and our recording secretary, Arlene LaRosa. So with that, if you would rise, if you can, and repeat after me.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so we have one substitution on our agenda. The first item that it appeared had been a continued case, which the applicant has requested a further continuance on. So Ernie, do you want any update on the timing of that? Do we have a new date for that?
I think the new date would be our next regularly scheduled meeting, which I believe is the end of August. I'm not exactly sure what, August 17th. I received an email from council requesting a continuance. They were hoped that they had the full presentation prepared and ready to go for this evening, but they did not. And he respectfully requested additional time to finalize that and appear before us. And I suggested to the board that that might be wise to allow him to do that. And the application was continued. So we'll continue that till August, was it 17th? Yeah. 17th.
Okay, and that application, which has been continued before, we already have waivers of the time constraints that were indefinite anyway?
That's correct.
Okay. All right, thank you. So, yeah, so I'm sorry, that's case Z23-05, DMG Elite Properties, LLC, owners of 8 Campbell Avenue, Havertown, PA. Okay. So in lieu of that, we have one item, which is a vote to approve certain additional findings of fact and conclusions of law on a matter in the Court of Common Pleas of Delaware County, docket number 2020-001628, in accordance with the court's request on remand for these further findings of fact. So our counsel has prepared additional findings of fact and conclusions of law that would supplement our original opinion and order on that case. And we have conferred with counsel in both the matter and with Ernie on this. And Jessica, would you be prepared to vote?
Would be.
Ed, would you be prepared to vote?
Yes, certainly.
And Jesse, would you be?
I'll be abstaining.
Okay, that's right. So Jesse was not part of that original case. So on that, I'll just make a motion that we approve the additional findings of fact and conclusions of law set forth in the materials prepared by counsel.
I'll second that motion.
All right. All in favor?
Second it.
Okay, thanks, Bob. Yeah, Jessica just seconded. Thanks. So all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
And, okay, so those findings of fact, or supplemental findings of fact and conclusions of law are adopted by a 4-0 approval.
Thank you. And just for clarification, this matter was remanded back to us with no additional testimony. It was specifically for the board to adopt additional findings of fact and conclusions of law relevant to the record. And I will submit the updated findings of fact and conclusions of law to the court tomorrow to comply with the court's May 2nd, 2023 order.
Thank you, Ernie.
Okay, Bob.
All right, thank you, everyone.
All All right,
right,
thank
thanks,
you.
Bob.
Take care.
All right,
Appreciate it.
yep, good luck.
Bye.
Okay, so back to the agenda now. We're back on track. So we're into our two new cases tonight. The first is case E23-13. Excuse me, Jessica Hirsch Lynn, owner of 47 Decatur Road, Havertown, PA, DC folio number 22-03-007-4700. Who seeks a variance from the provisions of section 182-206.C5A to construct a 6-foot by 12-foot covered porch that will encroach into the required 30-foot front yard setback by 2 feet, 2 inches.
The application actually says 6 by 20.
Okay, we'll get to that. Okay. The property is zoned R4 and is in the 3rd ward. You, Ms. Lynn? Okay, do you want to come up? We have to swear you in and do some other procedural things
Okay.
first. Okay, so Ms. Lynn, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in the testimony you're about to give?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Okay. And for the record, and the stenographers keeping track of this, your full name and address?
Jessica Hirsch Lynn, 47 Decatur Road, Havertown, Pennsylvania, 19083.
Okay, so welcome, Ms. Lynn.
Thank you. Thank you.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about what you would like to do? We have received your application materials.
Right. So I found out recently that my house, which is built in the mid-90s with stucco, was not built correctly, and there's a lot of wood damage under the stucco. So when I went to John to get roof and windows, he told me, no, you've got to take the stucco off, and it's a big job. And it got me thinking about a number of things, which is that it would be a good time to put on a small front porch in front of the house for a number of reasons. I listed those reasons in the application, but I can go over them verbally. So we have a back deck, which is our outside space, but as we have gotten older, my husband and I, we have different health issues that have made it kind of hard to use the back deck. He has had numerous precancerous spots on his skin. He's not supposed to be in the sun. I have, not sure why, if it's blood pressure related or what, but I have difficulty being in the sun. I get dizzy and lightheaded. So we don't really use our outside space. We also have a lot of DIYers right in our neighborhood. So our backyards on both sides have a lot of drilling and cutting and noises. It's not a peaceful space. So that was another reason. And also, you know, Havertown it's a neighborhood of front porches, and there's a whole culture of neighborliness that takes place in the front yard that we really can't take part in. People use their porches for socializing, to watch kids who are playing, make sure people are safe. It's just an area we thought as we age in place, we'd like to be able to have an outside space outside. Now, there was one other issue that I hadn't really put in writing, if I could just take a moment to tell you that, which is I have an 18-year-old autistic son who is very high functioning, but we really don't know if he's going to be living with us for the rest of our lives or not. But he's got a lot of sensory issues. He's inside almost all the time. Coming outside is really hard for him because he thinks every bug is a bee and it's going to sting him. He has a lot of social anxiety, so our thinking was creating a safe space for him to interact with people in the neighborhood, which is very friendly, but he won't do that easily if he's not in a safe space. We're working on his social anxiety trying to get him, he's got his first job, but everything is just really hard. So he wanted me to use some of this money to refinish the basement, but that would mean he'd be in the basement. And I really don't want him living in the basement. He does like, if something is covered and he's got a fan blowing on him, he would be outside. So I would love for him to work on his challenges in an outdoor space. And I think that kind of sums it up. Those are also. I think it's a wonderful thing to be part of an outdoor neighborhood community.
Okay, Ms. Lynn, you had submitted a few things with your application.
Yeah.
That I presume, but I'm asking really, would you like these things included in the record of your case? And specifically, I was thinking you have a photocopy of a plot plan or a portion of a plot plan?
I did my best with that to work with what was in your records and to work with what Kelly Kirk told me about how far my house is and how much space I had. But yes,
Yeah.
you can include it.
Is this something that you would like included with the formal record of this case? It might help us in discussions because we can refer to it.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do you have extra copies of your application or one extra
I
copy?
have one extra copy.
Okay.
Oh, I have two.
Do you, if you have one extra copy, because we're gonna have stickers put on them
Okay.
to mark them as exhibits, and
What I did was,
No,
so
I have a copy. Yeah.
okay, yeah. So why don't we take a minute? I don't know if we have to go off the record formally, but I think the other things that you've submitted were a two-page list of neighbors who had signed on in support of you would like that included
Yes.
also? And then the only other thing I saw in my package was two black and white photographs that I think are intended to sort of depict the adjoining neighbors' front
Well,
yard setbacks.
I'm glad you brought that up because it shows how far set back my house is and shows that even with a front porch, with this 2 feet, 2 inches, I'm still going to be so far back from my neighbor's house.
Well, I'm sure people will get into that discussion, but
Yeah.
you would like
Yes,
these two?
please.
So do you want them listed separately? So we'd have maybe 4 exhibits, or do you want them together? It doesn't matter.
I'm not sure whatever works best for you.
probably do it,
I'd say separate them, right?
Yeah,
It's just
sounds-
easier to refer to them.
Okay.
Okay, so why don't we take just a quick break? Arlene, do you have extra stickers? Okay, Ernie, do you want to just help her? Okay. So Arlene, I think we'll.
yeah, we'll mark these, so.
Oh, I didn't, you don't need like the deed and stuff like that.
Noting
Okay.
So I have in front of me 4 exhibits. One is a one-page exhibit, which overhead view of a property with certain features of existing improvements and certain measurements and setbacks described on that plan. Correct? Is that okay? The next exhibit, A2, is 2 pages, and it contains signatures from your neighbors in support of the requested variance. The neighbors and their addresses are listed there. And then exhibit A3 is a picture over which is hand-drawn roughly a 6-foot dimensional looking at, I guess it's your house and your neighbor to the right of your house when looking at the front of your house.
Right.
Okay. And then exhibit A4 is essentially looking, taking the same photo, looking the other way at your neighbor on the other side of your house.
Right.
Okay. And comparing your front yard with their porches in each case of A3 and 4.
Yep.
Okay, so would you like to enter these into the record?
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you. All right, so the housekeeping's over. Okay, so before we go to any questions, was there anything else that you'd like to mention?
I
You-
don't
you can
think
come back
so.
to it.
Yeah. Am I forgetting anything, John? I don't think so. No.
All right, and so we can, I know sometimes husband and wife like to pitch these together. If you would like to
No,
speak. Ms.
he's my builder.
Oh, okay, oh, you're the builder, okay, I'm sorry. So,
Cool to be your husband.
do you, well, if people ask questions that may get technical,
Yes.
then maybe we'd swear you in to testify at that point. Okay, all right. So with that, Jessica, do you have any questions for the applicant?
Yes, so you, based on your application, you'll be in the front yard setback by about 2 feet, 2 inches, correct?
Correct.
And where will that bring the front of your porch in relation to your neighbors?
Well, that's why I included those pictures. Because I would say roughly the end of my porch will hit the beginning of their porch.
Okay, I just wanted to
Roughly.
confirm that that
Yeah.
was accurate.
Yeah,
And is that true for the neighbor on each side?
yes.
Okay. And how high will your porch be? The overhang, like the roof portion?
Overhang, well, I'm gonna,
Well, what's gonna happen is
We'll have to swear you in.
Yeah.
You can't speak
Yes.
from the audience. We can wait and we can swear him in if you'd like and let
if
him
you want,
answer.
yeah, if you want the, I
Okay,
can't answer
when you
that
come up, we'll
question.
swear you in. Okay. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay. And your name and address for the record, please?
My name is John Cavalieri. Company is Cavalieri Construction. I can look up my PA license if you need it. Cavalieri, it's spelled Cavaliere. 1075 Forest Lane, Glen Mills, which is 2 words, Glenmills, PA 19342.
Okay, so Mr. Cavalieri, you are the contractor of record for this
Yes,
project?
yes, sir.
And you're licensed in the township to?
Yes, I've done a lot of jobs here.
Yep.
Almost 40 years.
So, Jessica, do you want to?
So based on the exhibit, the photos that were submitted, there is a small overhang that exists.
Yes, we're just going to extend the porch roof that's there existing across to the extra footage that would be on the new deck.
Okay, and will the slope of that roof remain the same as it is now, or will it change?
I would try to build it like a 412 pitch
Okay,
for proper water, drainage.
but the top of that roof will be about the same as it is right now?
Yes, if I have to bring it up a couple, you remember, I'm taking all the stucco off, so if I have to bring it up a couple inches to make the proper thing, we'll do that. And then the height, it's not that high because we're going to keep the existing height. So where the front door is, that height will all maintain the same height. So that'll all be taken out and all be the same height.
Okay. And do your plans include any sort of enclosure on
No.
the porch? And are you putting any electrical out there?
No,
No. And no plumbing or anything
No.
like that?
Well, hold on.
Oh.
We-
do you
sorry.
want electric?
I would, because of the issues with my son, I was thinking a ceiling fan to keep the bugs away.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm sorry. We didn't get to that
And
point yet.
lights.
Yeah.
But there'll be no screening.
No screen.
No, it won't be closed in. I
Okay.
think that's the main thing you're asking, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it won't be closed in.
Okay. I don't have any other questions right now.
Okay, Ed?
Yes, thank you. I'm looking at the A1, and I'm trying to figure out what all these dimensions are. They're not very clear. So the front yard setback requirement from the right-of-way is 30 feet? Is that what it is? Can you tell me what the distance will be from the right-of-way to the front of your proposed porch?
I forget. I gave her measurements that,
Can I
do
speak
you have
for a
it?
sec? No, so Kelly Kirk told me that we are permitted to build 3 feet 10 inches. That would be the border, that would be our 30-foot setback limit. So we're asking for 2 feet, 2 more inches, because John said a 6-foot porch really is the minimum of what you should get to have it be functional and look right. So the math on that.
Like a rocking chair and all that.
So it would be, instead of 30 feet, we'd be talking 27 feet, 10 inches?
Could we, if you're, could put on the A1, the exact measure, so we have that number rather than speculating on what Kelly told you. You need to have it on the record, and it would be nice to show that your plot plan here reflects exactly what you're being asked, or asked for relief for.
Would you like me to do that right now?
Yes.
Okay.
Do it on this one?
Yeah, let's do it on the actual exhibit. From where your porch ends to.
$27.10, okay.
So just for the record, the applicant has drawn in blue the measurement of 27 feet 10 inches from the front of her property line to the forward edge of the proposed new front porch, to show that it would be 27 feet 10 inches from the front edge of the property.
Correct.
And your porch will not extend beyond the edge of your existing house?
You mean
You
to
mean
the sides?
side?
Right, I'm trying
Oh,
to just get
yes,
the,
will not.
and then the other one, in the other direction, it'll only extend to the driveway. So your existing driveway will not be shortened, you'll not have,
Correct.
the driveway will still be able to handle the cars that exist there
Correct, yeah.
currently. The last question I have is the issue of, will this impact drainage from the house and the storm drain inlets, and how could it affect the neighbors?
Well, I'm going to let John answer the first part. The second part, I have the support of all my neighbors. Everybody was totally on board and happy that I spoke to. I didn't get to everybody on the block because I did it one day. Not everybody was home, but I got a lot of people on both sides. So I didn't hear any issues.
Just in the microphone, I'm sorry.
Yeah, we're just going to keep the gutter the same way, run it down like in the same position it is now, and it's not going to be capturing that much more water off that roof than it is now because, you know.
Where do we currently have downspouts from?
Oh, well, there is a downspout if you're facing the house the far left, there's a downspout there, and all of our downspouts run underground. There's one of those gravel, I don't know what they call them, underground, the gravel that collects the water. That everything drains to the backyard.
So your extended rooftop will now have an outfall that'll drain into this underground gravel?
It'll drain into the same
Yeah, I can
place.
drain it into the same,
Okay.
same thing, yes.
Very good. No other questions?
All right, thanks, Ed. Jesse?
All of my questions have already been asked. Thank you.
Okay. So I just had a couple questions. On Exhibit A1, there, I see the existing residence, and then there's two small squares that appear between the driveway and what looks like maybe the bump out of the house, the leading edge of the house. Is that a stoop, or is that a walkway, or?
Sorry,
Those
coming
two
from,
little
yes, so
squares.
that's a front stoop, and it is a cement square at the bottom of the stoop steps.
Okay,
There's a cement landing and a couple steps,
okay.
and then it just leads
And-
right to the driveway.
And so the 20 feet is going to go from will it run across the entire house right up to
No.
the driveway?
Right to the driveway,
Right to the
correct.
From the driveway right to the existing side of your house?
Correct.
On the other side, okay. Okay. I don't have any other questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Lynn, anything else you want to add? You don't have to, it's.
I don't think so. I
Okay.
think, thank you very much for
All right.
listening to me.
So, thank you, yeah. So I have to ask whether anyone in the audience who received certified mail that wants to testify in this case? Anyone in the audience who received regular mail who wants to testify in this case? Or anyone else in Haverford Township who's attending here who would like to testify about this case? Okay. Come on up. Okay, so I have to swear you in.
That's fine.
All right. It's up to you. You can, do you want,
Joined at the hip, it's fine.
do you want to be both sworn in?
Sure, sure.
So you got to do them one at a time.
Okay.
Okay. So, do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give was the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, and your name and address for the record, please?
My name is Lisa Lerner, Learner -Wagner, Wagner. I live at 70 West Hillcrest Avenue, Havertown, PA, 19083.
Okay, so, all right, well, then we'll swear in you. So, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay, and your name and address for the record, please.
Richard Wagner, 70 West Hillcrest Avenue, Havertown, PA, 19083.
Okay, so remember, you can only talk one at a time, right? Because our recording secretary can only keep track of one person at a time. So feel free to start. Ladies first.
Okay, Jessica has been a good friend of ours for many years. Our son took piano lessons with her. We have a front porch, and every time Jessica comes and sits on our front porch, the first thing she says is, "I have front porch envy." We know everybody in the neighborhood because we sit on our front porch. We play instruments on the front porch. We swing on our porch swing. I keep my eye on the neighbors. I watch cars. We've lived in this house for 32 years. I've watched cars that I could count, and now they drive too fast, and I can't count them, and they go through stop signs. I'm very much aware. I'm a very outward person. I know lots of people in the neighborhood. And Jessica, I like to say to people, when I grow up, I want to be like Jessica. I'm also a professor of art at Delaware County Community College, worked at Cabrini for 12 years. And we adopted our son from Guatemala when he was 6 months old. And he has grown up in the neighborhood and has his finger on the pulse and is aware of things. And everybody knows where we live. We live in a cadmium yellow house because there are no white or beige houses in Guatemala. So everybody knows who we are. We walk our dog. Richard rides his bike. So we're well versed in the neighborhood, the comings and goings. And we love it here. And we love Jessica and her family. And our son has been with her son, Jonah, watching after him. And our son, due to that, has decided to go into special ed. And he goes to Delaware County Community College, is working at the JCC with special ed kids, and has spent time with Jonah. And we're very much aware of who he is. I also had a nephew who had Asperger's and committed suicide at the age of 23. So I'm very much aware of the needs of special needs kids. So that's it.
And I'll just add that aesthetically, I think her house would look very nice with a porch on the front. I think that would improve the look of the neighborhood and make it a better looking house.
And Mr. Wagner, just if you don't mind, your address on Hillcrest, how far is that from the applicant's house? I mean,
2 blocks.
2 blocks, okay.
Yeah.
And
She's
go
on
ahead.
Decatur, there's Colfax and
Yep.
Grassland, or
Okay.
Hillcrest.
Thank you. Is there anything else or any questions?
No question.
Okay. All right,
Okay.
thank you. Ms. Lynn, I just had one follow-up question if I could. On your exhibit A2, where you have letters from your neighbors, is the street numbering convention on your street that, every house goes up by 2 numbers? So if you're at 47, your neighbors are at 45 and 49?
No, it's not exactly like that.
Okay.
No, my neighbors are 45 and 51.
45 and 51, okay.
My house was a new house. It was attached to 45. And then, yeah, the lot was split.
Right. And the reason I was asking, I just wanted to confirm that the 2 immediate neighbors whose houses are depicted in A3 and A4
Yes.
are people who have signed this. in
They
support.
signed it, they gave me permission to take those, and I actually was taking one of them from their porch, so.
All right. Any other questions for the applicant? All right, so we'll close the record on this case,
Okay.
and if time affords us tonight, we'll try to reach a decision.
Okay.
If not, the board would vote at the next scheduled meeting, which is August 17.
Oh,
But knowing that it's summer and it's construction season, if we have time, we will try to get to it tonight.
Should
And
I-
you don't have to stay for the rest of the meeting. You
Okay.
can call Margie or Kelly in the morning, and they can tell you what happened.
how long will the meeting, do you have an idea?
I never want to guess because I'm always wrong, right? In theory, the meetings can go to 11 o'clock at night. So I don't know how long the next case will take, but,
Okay.
and then we often have to go into executive session and talk about legal issues with
Okay.
counsel. So it may be a while.
Okay.
But you don't have to stay.
I won't stay, I'll wait, and I could find it, I could email you tomorrow. That'd be fine. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
Good night.
Thanks. Okay, come on up. Mr. Howig, our next case on the agenda is case Z23-14, Terrence Howig, owner of 111 East Park Road, Havertown, PA, DC folio number 220200900700, who seeks a variance from the provisions of section 182-206C5A to construct a roof over an existing patio that will encroach into the required 30-foot front yard setback between 3.5 feet and 1.5 feet. The project is zoned R4 and is in the second ward. Mr. Howard, welcome. And I need to swear you in.
Yes.
So do you swear that the information you're about to, or the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay.
Do you
And
want to swear my builder as well now, or later?
well, let me finish first. Can you state your full name and address for the record?
Sure. So Terrence Hellwig. I live at 111 East Park Road, Havertown, PA 19083.
Okay. And you have a contractor with you?
Correct. My general contractor, Steve Minton from Clarity, is here as
All
well.
right, we'll swear you, we'll get it all done at once,
All
okay?
right.
So, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, and your name and address for the record, please.
Steve Minton, 115 Ogden Avenue, Swarthmore, 19081.
And Mr. Minton, you are the contractor of record for this project?
Yes.
And you're licensed to do that in our township? Okay.
Yes.
And you'll be testifying just as the contractor, right?
Yes, nuts and
Got it.
bolts
Yep.
questions.
Okay. I don't think we need to qualify him as an expert, right? Okay.
All right.
So, Mr. Howard, why don't you start and just kind of explain conceptually for you what it is that you're looking for, why you need it, and we can, if we get into technical stuff,
Sure.
we'll go to your content.
So I won't go too much into my history because it's getting late. But I grew up in Wayne, PA, back when the King of Prussia Mall was an open air mall, and I used to walk to the King of Prussia Mall. And then I went to the Haverford School, and then I left for a number of years. And about 4 years, my dad and mom called me, and they said, my mom has Alzheimer's. Can you come back and help us out? So we moved back September 2019. And then, of course, March 2020, COVID hit. In April 2020, my dad slipped on the stairs, broke his neck, went through that. And then in August 2020, my mom tripped going up the stairs, broke her ribs. So my family has a history of slip and trips that is just not good for our family. So it took us a long time looking at different looking at houses in the area. It took us about 2 years to find our house in Havertown. Havertown's fantastic. We're super excited to get this renovation done. And part of the renovation we wanted to do is it came with a front porch that was existing. It's a slate porch. You'll see we actually have some exhibits, which we'll get to in a second, which will show that it's slate. It's on the north side, so we have algae there. There's ice. It gets wet, obviously. My dad's 84. My mom's 82. So we're worried about slip and trips, and we thought covering the porch would be a good thing to do. As part of us covering the porch, it turns out that we'll actually trim back the impervious coverage just a little bit, which is a good thing. But our variance that we like to apply for is really for just two columns on the right side, or actually if you're facing the house, the front left side of the house are within the 30-foot variance. Yeah, that's really it in a nutshell. So we like to get a porch. We're worried about ice. We're worried about the algae. Like Miss Lynn, we think the front porch is a very nice part of the community. The aesthetic of the front porch matches the other front porches in the neighborhood. It's a classic stone house, 18-inch stone walls. Comes with all the wonderful features of a 100-year-old house. So we're trying to improve the house, improve the neighborhood, and get this front porch done.
Okay, Jesse, you want to ask any questions?
Sure, and you were...
You know what, why don't we do the exhibits first?
Yeah, so the
Because
exhibits.
you've tagged your exhibits. I'm sorry, Jesse. Let me just finish that, because then it'll be easier for people to refer to.
Well, we got A1's the application, we'd like to have A1, and then we'd like to have A2 is the plot plan from Padula Engineering.
Which is up on the screen.
Yeah, which is up on the screen right now. And then we'd like to do A3 is a proposed front porch plan, which
Blue, yeah.
which is the blue right there. And this actually shows the 30-yard foot setback right here. Then you can see how it encroaches just on that. Really, it's the right corner from this side. The two posts we like to put in. And if we don't get the variance in, we'd have to make a modification. We'd have an area of the porch that would have ice on it, would be wet, and would be a slip and trip issue for us. So, and then the last exhibit we'd like would be for pictures. We actually have some blown up pictures to give the board some context as to the look and feel of the porch. This is the house. There's the front porch. That's the 84-year-old dad cruising around. And we're in commercial real estate, and he grew up doing residential, so he likes to do way too much. But that's the front porch right there. We're going to trim back the side. You can see it's kind of covered in algae right now. I can hand these out if that's appropriate. The side, when it rains, this is the side that we would like to get enclosed. It gets really slippery, extremely slippery. So we're concerned about that. That's the front walk, just to show you how slippery it can be. So I'll hand these out if that's appropriate.
And then can we put a poster board in for the record?
We can. You want them back? Or you
No, we don't need them back. No. It's yeah.
So just to go over that, and I'll recap for the record the exhibits. So, the first, exhibit A1 is going to be the application.
Yep.
No?
Yes.
Yeah,
Sorry.
okay.
I'm sorry.
A2 is the
Site plan.
site plan.
By Padula Engineering.
Right. From Padula Engineering, dated August 10, 2022.
Yep.
And then Exhibit A3 is the proposed one-page proposed front porch footprint.
Yes, please.
And Exhibit 4 will be 5 photographs that are mounted on foam core, color photos that show depictions of the various walkways and patios around your house.
Correct.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, Jesse, I'm sorry.
Thank you. So you were present for the last case, right? So
Yes, sir.
You heard some of the. I'll ask the same questions so that
Certainly.
you'll know that we're very consistent. Although my first question is, there was something, and I just saw it in one of the photos, and you mentioned it, that the front door to the house is not served by an overhang, but I thought I saw on the plan an overhang, and in the photos depicted an overhang.
There was an overhang that when we bought the house was rotted out, and for safety reasons we had to take it down. So there is no overhang now. In fact, it was kind of a little front stoop, and then there was a half of one to the right, which we don't understand why they built half of a stoop to the right, that little red, right there, that one right there, and to the right of it. But on the left side, there was nothing. And when we got into that, we saw that it was rotted out, and it was a safety hazard, so we had to take it down.
So they've
They've been removed.
These have been removed already.
Correct. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
So it's both the pitched roof over the entryway as well as the, let's call it a part roof that runs under all of the upstairs windows.
Yeah, that part roof underneath the windows is gone now because it was a
And it
problem.
only ran on the right-hand side.
And it was only on the right-hand side. There was nothing on the left-hand side. We didn't understand that at all.
So, but both of them will be taken out
That-
and replaced with this proposed new roof.
Yes, sir. And we're talking about a 3-pitch on the new roof.
Okay.
Sorry.
I'm sorry, what pitch?
A 3-pitch?
A 3 and 12?
Yes,
Okay.
on the new roof. And we're also talking about ceiling fans and some electrical lighting and that type of thing. So
Okay,
yeah.
great. You're already anticipating my questions, yes?
Yes.
So you plan to install ceiling fans and electrical,
Yep.
no plumbing or
No plumbing.
no heaters?
It's an
or-
open air porch. There's no screens or anything like that. We want to keep it. My dad and I always argue about an open air porch, but it turns out he built one, and we like to sit out there and say hi to the neighbors.
And could you roughly approximate the the ceiling height of the underhang of the underside
It was
of the
9 feet?
At the lowest point, it would probably be 9 feet.
9 feet? And then a 3 and 12 pitch back. And you believe that this will be in character with some other porches in the neighborhood?
Directly across the street. We actually modeled it from our neighbors directly across the street, mainly because it's just a classic, straight line porch and then like a little arch in the front, kind of doing what it did before.
Right, okay. You testified that your parents have slipped before. Was it on this property or?
It was not on this property, no.
But your concern is that they might slip on this due to what you've
Yes,
seen?
especially with the algae growth, which we can certainly treat, but the slate is very slick in the rain, and that's why we kind of printed out the picture of it in the rain. It does get very slick, and then the ice as well. So I'm worried about my father specifically. My mom's actually going into full-time assisted living, and my dad's we're creating a first floor room for him to stay in with us. So.
And could you briefly describe so there's 3, or no, I'm sorry, there looks to be about 2 posts that will be out into the setback?
It's just 2 posts. One's actually on the line, but it's within the setback, so it's just 2 posts that we're asking for a variance on, that's all.
Could you describe the size and materials of the posts?
Sure.
They would be 10 by 10 permacast, so fiberglass, resin, structural column.
And what kind of roof material?
Metal roof. We're looking at
Standing seam
roof, and then a dark brown that mimics copper, so it kind of plays into the rest of the neighborhood.
I'll let Ed ask about the water management. So no other questions.
Yes, a couple questions. I'm confused by your statement that the patio is non-conforming. Where did you come up with that assessment?
Non-conforming in what way? I didn't mean to say it was non-conforming. You mean the existing roof that we had to take down, or?
The patio itself.
I guess the patio is within the lines of the setback right now, so.
But patios aren't buildings, so you were allowed to have a patio.
Okay.
So it comes to my confusion because you're not asking for approval just for the column, you're asking for approval for the roof.
For the roof.
So it'd be for the entire roof structure that you would actually need the variance for to be able to put the roof, not just the columns.
Yes, I'm sorry.
That's
You're
my
right.
interpretation.
No, Ed, you're right. I'm sorry.
Okay. The issue now is that prior to the patio did not collect drainage and stormwater.
So we spent on Pula Engineering. We spent a lot of time on creating a drainage plan. So we actually have a drainage plan, and part of the drainage plan we found Haverford Township does a great job of the requirements around stormwater management. I know from my own personal experience, stormwater management is incredibly important, especially these days. As you can see, for July, I've never seen this much rain in my life. So we actually put in 4 of these large, I'm sure you're familiar with these, just that this is required by the township. So we put an 8-inch pipe all around our property. We have 4 large drains all around our property, and we go into a drainage bed in the front of the house.
Go into what?
The drainage bed in the front. We have a drainage bed.
Drainage bed.
A drainage bed. So we're trying to make the property.
Better than it was.
Yeah, better than it was.
Your drainage plan is not associated necessarily with porch, with the entire property.
Is that
Yeah,
accurate?
to some other renovations and additions that we're
But
doing. to the
your
property.
rain spouts from the porch tie into this system?
The rain spouts from the porch will tie into a part of the system.
Okay, so it won't direct discharge to the.
Yeah.
Correct. It won't discharge into the street.
That's all the questions I have. Thank you.
Jessica?
You said your father's going to be living on the first floor or just staying with you?
He's in a
sometimes?
transition state now where
Okay.
he's just got a room in assisted living, but then he's at an age where he likes to come over, have a cigar, sit on the porch, have a drink, and then I'm like, I don't want you going home. And then I have small kids that he adores, and so he'll typically spend at least 1 night of the week with us. I mean, he does already. So
Okay, so he's a frequent
yes,
visitor.
he's a frequent flyer.
And is your front door your main entrance into your house?
We have a
of what
side
you
door that
use?
we're putting in as well, but the main entrance for him will be that front door. Yes.
Okay. So the existing patio flagstone porch turns the corner of your house.
Yes.
Is there any reasoning why the porch overhang turns? Is that necessary to cover the entire flagstone porch?
A couple things. One was aesthetics. The second thing is to get around to the back of the house where the HVAC equipment is, to check on it. Since he is in commercial real estate, he typically likes to go inspect things, and I know him well enough to know he will be going around the side of the house. That side of the house has a bunch of trees for our neighbor to shelter, like the new porch, so no one will actually see the porch from the side. But my dad, I know, will go around the side of the house. The kids will go around the side of the house, and people will be walking around the side of the house. I myself will be going around the side of the house.
Okay, I don't have any other questions.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, and so I just guess one question. Do you want your stormwater management plan to be added as exhibits?
No, I don't think we need it.
Okay. Is it helpful since they've referred to it in the testimony?
I think it would be helpful.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
fine.
If you don't mind,
Yes, that's fine.
I think you're better off tagging it as A5.
Okay,
And,
I'll put a photo in there too with it.
okay, you can put them both in as 2 pages then.
That's fine.
A5.
Let me just give you that one, and then I'll give you this one.
So we'll call that your proposed stormwater
Stormwater
management improvement plan? Something like that? Okay. Okay, and then Arlene, can we have one extra sticker? Yeah. Oh, no, he did. Okay. I don't have any other questions. Any other questions?
One other point.
Yes.
We didn't mention this, I didn't hear it anyhow, is that the fact that one of the odd things about the lot is that the front is not straight.
Yeah.
Can you explain that?
The front of the lot itself or the
No,
house?
just because that's part of the reason why you have an impact.
Correct. Yeah, that's a really good point. It's a curved front of the property, so then we want to have a square porch to mimic all the other porches in the neighborhood. So is that addressing your question?
Yeah,
Okay.
the thing is that the part where the curve, the sharpest,
Correct.
is where you have the most impact.
And that's where we're having, that issue. And then to Ms. Vitale's point, there is a lot of trees and shrubbery on the side of the neighbor, which I could see a neighbor, if they could see it, could be like, oh, you have a covered porch here now, but they can't even see it. And I've talked to Pete, my neighbor, and he's like, it looks great. So anyway.
That's all.
Okay, and just to clarify that for people who are paying attention, it's actually a relatively small portion of the porch that's actually encroaching into the front yard setback.
Correct.
I know that we're talking, I think I saw in some of the plans, essentially 3 columns.
It's 2.
Or just 2?
Just
okay.
2.
And do you have a sense of how much square footage or percentage of the overall proposed covered porch is actually in the front yard?
A percentage, maybe 3%,
Yeah, very small.
maybe 5
Yeah,
tops.
yeah.
Yeah, it can't even be 5.
Yeah.
It's minuscule.
And then I just to make sure because we have to think about if we were to approve it, what conditions. You're not looking to enclose this
No,
patio?
not
or this,
in any
porch
way.
area, right?
Yeah.
Right,
My-
we heard the fan and the electric.
Right.
But no screening, no
No.
siding?
No,
no glass?
no, it's just that my dad, he has this thing for cigars, and I'm like, I don't want him smoking in the house. So I'm like, go sit in the front porch. You can go yell at the neighbors out front. And Lynn had a great point. We have all these neighbors walking by all the time, and he talks to everybody. So I'm like, go out front and talk to everybody. So,
All right,
but I want to make sure he's protected. I mean, I love my dad.
all right. I don't have any other questions, but let me ask for our intrepid audience member, whether
I know, it's cold.
did anyone, is there anyone here who received certified mail who would like to testify? Okay, come on up. You know the drill.
I might be chattering.
All right, it's all, don't worry, you're only being broadcast on TV.
I know, I'm freezing, I'm just freezing.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, and your full name and address for the record?
My name is Nancy Foley. My address is 109 East Park Road, Haverford Town. Yeah.
So based on your house number, I presume you are an immediate next door neighbor of the
Yes, I
applicant?
am an adjoiner, yes.
An adjoiner, okay. All right. And what would you like to tell us?
I don't want to tell you anything, I have a couple questions, if you don't mind, okay? I'm away a lot, so I don't get to
So
see you.
remember, you can ask the questions, but you're not cross-examining the applicant?
Absolutely.
Okay.
This is
So
going to be
we
a
can
question
bring
along
you
the
back
lines of
up.
what Jessica would, that you mentioned the bottom dimension, 9 feet up of the roof, but how about the pitch, the entire, from the top of the roof down, is my first
You can-
question.
But into the microphone, because,
Thank you.
Could I see the photograph poster board? Because it's fairly similar.
You have to speak into the microphone. I'll hold this. I'll be
Thank you.
your poster board.
your human easel.
So on the photo there, the top of the roof sits about 6 inches underneath the existing windows as it goes across the front of the property. The new roof that goes into that place would probably be probably 2 inches above that. So instead of being 6 inches below the window, it may be 4 inches,
4 inches,
below the
okay.
window.
Then my second question is, since that porch has been taken down on the side, and there's another porch there that now comes kind of over the porch, if you could show, do you have a picture of what
We
the
have
current?
That's actually, I mean, if you're talking, there's only a half porch in this, and that's gone now, and that was all that was in on the house. And you can see this porch here, it's gone. There's nothing on this side right here.
No, I'm talking about
Go back to the center.
the other
there,
side.
Tara.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
So I think.
Okay, my
because-
my question is, there's now a room that's constructed.
Correct.
And over here. This far. So my question is, will this roof sit above the roof that's there now, on the newly constructed, or does it need it, where there's side door, excuse me, where the side door comes in? I know, it's hard, you don't, because the house no longer looks like that. It looks like this. If you see, there's a bump out on the front. That's where the side porch used to be. It's now extended out further along and comes back into the original front of the house. And it's like, I'm just wondering if they're going to be, how many roofs are going to be
Same height.
same height? So it's going to run right into
One
it?
continuous plane.
Okay, fine.
We didn't want it to get too high. We want to kind of mimic what's there now and keep the aesthetics.
Okay, fine, all right. And is the roof on the new addition also going to be metal, or is that, okay, so they're matched, they'll be continuous?
Completely and consistent.
All right, let me see, okay. Oh, and then one other thing. You show the columns, and that's great, but usually when you construct a porch, there's an overhang, a little bit, there's a column, and then there's, the porch hangs over.
Yeah.
So the encroachment or the variance that you're going for, does that include the overhang that might be, off of the porch? Because all your illustrations kind of show just the columns.
If I understand the code correctly, I believe it's 18 inches in front of the column is the additional amount that most overhangs are. And our overhang is probably about 16 inches. And then maybe when you put the gutter on, if that's considered something, maybe that's 16. So to answer your question, the column, the face of the column is that, where are we at?
26.6?
Yeah, the face of the column would.
26.6?
Yeah, would be at 26.
But then you're saying the pitch of the roof, the overhang is going to go another 18 inches?
About 16 inches.
Wouldn't that be going into the setback also then?
Um,
The 30-yard setback, an
I
overhang like that?
I understood that the columns were the part of the overhang where the math is done. But I may have that wrong.
I think it's probably safest, I'm not sure that's the case, right? That you're only measuring the column. The roof of a structured roof is, I think, when I asked the question, for instance, before, what portion of this roof that you're proposing to put in would be encroaching into the front yard setback, which we understand is that the encroachment is roughly 2 feet, the application says the encroachment is
5 inches and.
Yeah. So, right, between 3.5 feet and 1.5 feet. So does that 3.5 feet maximum amount of encroachment include the full amount of the roof that would extend beyond the columns towards the front of the house?
That's my question.
Yeah, I'd say that 3.5 feet does not include all of that 16-inch overhang. I'd say it probably includes about half of it, because our columns are, the existing flagstone that's there right now, our columns are set in from there, probably about, the face of the column's about 4 inches from the start of that flagstone. So, yeah, it may be, instead of 3.5 feet, if you're counting the overhang, maybe it's 4.5 feet at that one column.
Okay.
The second column, instead of being 1.5 feet, I guess you could say is 2.5 feet.
So you're actually requesting relief to go as much as 4.5 feet into the front yard setback?
At the edge of the cornice.
Yeah, in the two corners,
Yeah.
in the two corners where the
Yes.
curvature comes
Yeah.
into play. Yes, okay.
Excuse me, I'm not clear on that. That would only be on the one side, not on the other side, because the other side, the porch doesn't extend out as much, right?
Correct.
Okay, because you were saying either side, each side, you mean each side over that side?
Yeah, so my understanding of the way that this application's been submitted is that we have a rectangular, more or less, front porch, and we have a front yard setback that is based on an arc that tracks the curvature of the road. And directly in front of the house, the proposed porch would not need relief. It would be no more than, I guess, up to the side, the front yard setback. But as the setback line curves in conformity with the road, the rectangular thing,
Or they're
patio,
triangles.
we end up with
Right.
two little triangles that jut out of the corners or that extend into the front yard setback. And one of them is, because it's not a consistent arc, centered in the middle of the house. One triangle's a little bigger than the other one, and one piece sticks a little bit further into the front yard setback than the other one. So on the 4.5 foot one, I was trying to take the worst of the two, or the one that encroaches the most. And so whereas that one, the application suggested it was 3.5 feet, that's really for the column location. So they're saying up to maybe another foot. So in that one corner, which I believe is going to be the corner closest to the Hunt's house, the other side of the property.
Right.
That one may be as much as 4.5 feet in or over the front yard.
Right. Right, but not here.
Not here, no, not here.
And
Just down near Pete.
that's the question, and the porch itself that you're constructing with the new room that goes out here,
Well, I'm
you're
trying
not going to be, are you going to be constructing a porch out there?
We got a 1 foot on the.
No, it's gonna,
This is all open air.
Okay.
That's all open air.
okay, fine. All right, that's what I was just trying to get some clarity on. You know what I do. Sorry.
that's all right.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so we actually have more questions for you now because of this. Okay, all right.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Yep. Okay, so Ed, I'll go back to you. I think we need to figure out whether, in my view, at a minimum, these two triangles get bigger, right? As that is depicted. And the question now is it really essentially the entire front porch that's going to be somewhat encroaching?
By the 18 inches, because you have the columns right up to the setback line, all along the front of the property.
So we can move the columns back, like,
We not move the column back, move the edge of the
and
porch
the
back.
and the roof, yeah.
If you have it to what you depicted there as the porch line, and you can do whatever you want with the column.
Right.
I'm sorry, excuse me, 18 inches is allowed to encroach.
Oh, okay, it is.
Okay.
Oh, that takes, all right, great. Thank you, Margie. So we could, and I believe to Steve's point, we can confirm it's 16 inches, so we're within the encroachment.
Okay, so, but just to clarify for the record, the entire, because if you
Right.
build it and then someone comes back and looks at the thing and they say it didn't match. So
Right.
the variance being requested is for up to 4.5 feet, but it's really somewhere between 2.5 and 4.5 feet across the front of the thing. We understand the arc means that
Right.
it's less in some places than others,
Right,
but that's the relief you're really asking for.
correct. But with the 18 inches.
But with the 18 inches,
Inches.
that brings us back to the original 3'6".
Right, so it's really 3.6.
I get it, but we're probably better off having the record reflected, I think, as the full amount of relief that you might need.
I defer to you.
Ernie, do you agree with that?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna
The
argue.
18 is permitted by code, but just to be safe, so if anybody questions it, grant the full
Okay,
All right,
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay.
amount. If it was a client.
yeah, yeah, okay. Anything else? you'd
No,
like
we
to
really
ask?
appreciate the board's time.
All right, I have to finish the litany. So
Okay.
is there anyone here who received regular mail who would like to testify beyond Ms. Foley? No? Okay, anyone else from Haverford Township who would like to testify? Hearing none, we'll close this case.
Thank you.
And we will, we typically caucus with our counsel on some of the legal issues, including stuff like this issue.
Okay.
We will attempt to vote tonight. You
Okay.
can hang out if you want. It's up to you. We probably will be in recess for a little bit, but probably not too long.
We'll check in with Margie tomorrow, if
Okay.
that's okay.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Great.
Thank you very
Thank
much,
you.
ma'am. Thank you
Okay.
very much for your time.
Thanks. Okay, I don't want the exhibits. So this is new. We have to cobble them together, right? Because he didn't have them. So Margie, or Arlene, can you hand us this? Because we're gonna have to flag the other ones. So, yeah, so the application, does anyone have a clean application with this, writing on it?
Why don't we do this? Why don't we have minutes, right?
Yeah.
Why don't we get rid of the minutes? Close the hearing. Swear up.
I think we,
We're going to do the two cases though, aren't we?
Well, I mean, not close it, I mean, just turn it, square up for right now, to go into the executive.
all right, so before we recess for executive session, Jessica, do you have minutes from prior meetings to present?
Ernie submitted minutes from our June 15th meeting, which were reviewed. No comments were made, and so I would make a motion to approve those minutes.
I'll second that.
Well, Ernie got some comments from me.
And they reflect, the minutes reflect those comments.
Yep, okay. All right, so we have a motion, we have a second. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay, minutes are approved 4-0. That was minutes for the meeting of June 15, right? Okay. All right, so at that, let's go off the record.
And we're good.
Okay, so we're back on the record. And with respect to the two cases, Jessica, are you prepared to vote?
I am.
And Ed, are you prepared to vote?
Yes, I am.
And Jesse, are you prepared?
Yes.
As am I. All right. Jessica, do you want to take first KC 23-13?
Sure. So in regards to case Z24-13, I would like to make a motion to approve the application with the following conditions. There will be no enclosure of any kind around the porch, with the exception of the roof. Electricity will be the only utility on the porch. Stormwater will be managed so as not to adversely impact the neighbors, and the work will be completed within 1 year in accordance with the notes of testimony.
Ed?
I concur.
Jesse?
I agree.
As do I. That case is approved 4-0. And on case Z23-14, Jessica, do you want to start that one?
So for Z23-14, I would make a motion to approve that application. I would motion to grant relief to allow the roof overhang to encroach up to 4.5 feet into the front yard setback as needed. With the exception of the roof, there would be no enclosure of any kind around the porch. The only utility on the porch would be electricity. Stormwater will be managed so as not to adversely impact the neighbors, and the work will be complete within 1 year in accordance with the notes of testimony.
And no enclosure, you said?
No enclosure, yep.
All right, Ed?
I agree.
Jesse?
I agree.
As do I. That application's approved for nothing. Ernie, any other business?
No other business.
Okay. All right. With that, we will adjourn the meeting. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate the time and effort.